We're in the holodeck, and Janeway is taking a little break from the stress of running a spaceship by pretending to be a governess for the children of the damned. The discussion about their dead, not dead mother is interrupted by a power failure, which Tuvok goes to investigate. He comes across some maintenance that B'Elanna wasn't told about being conducted by the shiftiest bastard on Voyager, save for Paris. He says he found some computer jelly that needed replacing, and also Starfleet are a bunch of wankers, and also fuck you Tuvok, then stomps off. Discussing it later, Janeway is surprised by the jelly going off because they're usually super reliable. Then Tuvok mentions that Shifty Bastard acted like a complete arsehole. Apparently it's not an isolated incident, either for Shifty Bastard or a number of other former Marquis who are struggling to adapt to rigid rules. Given the choice between spacing them or giving them a course on why those rules are needed, Janeway chooses the latter. Oh, and she decides that you're doing it, Tuvok, because fuck your life. Training begins in a storage bay with Shifty Bastard joined by Menacing Hairband and Broody Teen. Oh, and Chatty Blue Lad, who's apparently the comic relief on account of being a bit portly. Thanks, writers. After a bit of a set to, Shifty Bastard, Menacing Hairband and Broody Teen all decide they're off, and Chatty Blue Lad goes too, while Tuvok stands there instead of pooping yellow on the mutinous bastards then throwing them out of an airlock. In the mess hall, Broody's not too sure that buggering off was the right choice. Then Chakotay turns up, gets their side of the story, and knocks Shifty Bastard on his arse for acting like a twat. And there's more where that came from, if they still want to play by the old rules. Training Session 2 and the Querulous Quartet are back again, only this time with a bit less being shit. Tuvok inspects their uniform, telling Broody Teen to lose the earring, Chatty Blue Lad to lose the Disco Man medallion, and Menacing Hairband to lose the hairband, which totally buggers up the naming convention I've chosen, but we're committed now. He then tells them to fuck off and meet him again at 7 PM. Until then, Shifty Bastard has some work to do. After some banter with B'Elanna, there's another power failure. Seems some more of the jelly has gone off. B'Elanna goes to visit the doc and see if he has any idea why the jelly keeps going bad. The dog flexes his dry sense of humour a bit, which I rather liked, then tells B'Elanna that the jelly has contracted jelly plague. Doesn't look like it's a problem for the crew, but the computer jelly all over the ship will need inspecting. While they're dealing with that, Tuvok's decided to take the quartet on a bracing hike through the guts of the ship, and, tangentially, this is something Arnold Rimmer did in an episode of Red Dwarf some 6 years prior to this being filmed, which suggests the tantalizing, if admittedly somewhat remote possibility, that Vulcans have a thing for late 20th century British sitcoms, and I simply cannot tell you how much this idea pleases me. Training Session 3 and we're on the holodeck, engaging in some simulated bridge events. After Shifty Bastard takes control, the trainee formerly known as Menacing Hairband picks up a distress call. Then some Romulans turn up and kill them all, which seems a bit harsh. It's a lesson on how they should have withdrawn when realizing they were outgunned rather than go down fighting. The lesson they learn, however, is that they aren't good enough and never will be. Tuvok's sitting in the mess hall, thinking how things can't get any worse, when Neelix comes over and sits with him, proving him wrong. While Neelix is busy telling him he's an inflexible arsehole and his teaching methods are for shit, we discover Neelix has been making space cheese. Could the bacteria from its cultivation be entering the ventilation ducts, which apparently spread throughout the entire ship with no biological filters at all? Neelix apologizes profusely for his space cheese causing ship-wide power failures, and we take the alien Bree to sickbay for analysis. As the doc works on that, Tuvok thinks the best thing to do while the ship undergoes recurring, unpredictable electrical problems is to use the holodeck. He tries to make a social connection with Shifty Bastard, who gives him his backstory, then tells him to go fuck himself. The cheese tests aren't going too well, and we're losing power all over the place. Training Session 4 is called to an abrupt halt, but they're trapped. Even the manual override doesn't work, which means it isn't very fucking manual, is it? Regardless, they're shit out of luck till this gets fixed, so they look at escaping through the service tunnels. Promising news on the jelly front though, as the doc thinks he might have a plan. When people get ill, they develop a fever to try and take their body out of the optimal temperature for the infection in an effort to kill it. And that's actual fucking science right there, folks, so you've genuinely learned something from this video. You're welcome. Anyway, Doc thinks making the jelly warm might do something similar, so B'Elanna suggests putting their foot down whilst the handbrake is still on, essentially getting the ship to do giant space donuts, which is just bonkers enough for me to love it. It works, sort of, but makes a kaboom in the storage bay where the quartet and Tuvok are. Broody Teen is knocked out by the blast, and Shifty Bastard wants to go back for him. Tuvok threatens to break his arm if they don't go in that service tunnel though, then shuts them in while he's still outside. He's going for Broody Teen himself, which ends terribly, but the rest of the quartet have managed to find a way round and jimmy the door from the outside, wedging it open with a metal bar which was just laying around because that's a thing apparently. The trainee formerly known as Menacing Hairband grabs Broody Teen, and Shifty Bastard drags Tuvok out. There's an overly saccharine and rather clumsy bit of bonding, with Tuvok saying he felt he needed to bend the rules and go back for broody teen. Then they all smile about nearly dying as we go to sickbay and we fly away. End of episode.